Hello everyone, I'm Nicolas Hulou from Aix-Marseille University, and today I will show you how you can measure the area of real contact with two methods. One using imaging, which is useful for scientific inquiry, another one that uses ultrasonic vibration, which is particularly suited for surface haptics. But first, you might ask yourself, why should I be interested in the contact area? The answer is that the real contact area made by the collection of the small contacting asperities is what underpins the frictional force felt by the user. And as you might know, humans are pretty sensitive to changes in frictional force, and modulating the frictional force is also a great way to produce sensation on a glass surface. Bowden and Tabor show that the frictional force is proportional to the real area of contact. So for all these reasons, measuring the contact area is a good way to assess the frictional force even before the finger is sliding. We are not the first that have been interested in visualizing the contact area of a fingertip on a surface. The two main existing techniques use optical properties of the skin and the glass to contrast contacting zones from non-contacting ones. We chose to use the frustrated reflection technique. This technique is based on light absorption of the skin in direct contact. Area where the contact is made appear darker than the area without. Both methods output contrasted images of the contact of the skin on glass. However, which value the real area of contact should take? Our approach is based on a multiscale comprehension of the contact area. The associated multiscale contact model, well described by Pearson contact theory, is based on a fractal view of the contact area at different scale. At the larger scale, the contact is approximated by its apparent area of contact. And if we zoom in, we will see some asperity emerging within the contact, decreasing the contact area value. Another zoom, within this refined contact area, we'll see smaller asperity emerging, which will reduce again the contact area. This process could theoretically run until the contact area will completely vanish. However, the decrease in contact area stops at a certain cutoff. One of the reasons is that under a given contact force, the interfacial stress, held by an asperity, reaches the yield stress of the skin, conforming then a larger zone than the observed scale. This phenomenon has been observed by Kovalev and colleagues, such as by Sally and colleagues. Therefore, any problem mechanism needs to have a diffraction limit in the order of the micrometer. Along this assumption, visible light exceeds this requirement by more than an order of magnitude, and thus can be used at the ground truth measurement. Because of its close relation to the frictional behavior of the contact and its ability to measure friction without motion, the real area of contact is well suited to track friction changes on a haptic device. However, optical imaging methods are commonstone and requires bulky apparatus. On ultrasonic haptic devices, which use glass vibration to reduce friction between the fingertip and the plate, we observe that the presence of a fingertip on its top impedes the vibration. More, the way the plate vibration is modified is affected by the force applied by the fingertip. We have chosen to use the mechanical impedance of the plate, which is the inverse of the admittance, to monitor these changes. It appears that both the real area of contact and the plate mechanical impedance modulus follows the same trend. We fitted a power law inherited by Hertz's contact law on these datasets. However, the activation force modifies the relation between the area of contact and this impedance. A deeper analysis of the phenomenon is then required. In a previous study, we presented a novel model of the contact between the skin and an ultrasonic vibrating plate. This multiscale model is briefly exposed here. Within the frequency range of the ultrasonic vibration, around 30 kHz, the plate could be modeled as a second-order oscillator, which is excited by an activation force. Also, around the excitation frequency, the fingertip behavior could be modeled as a second-order dynamic system. The connection between these two bodies is made by the contact itself. The contact is made by a spring and a damper that represent the squeeze film pressure and the end asperity of the skin. This lamp parameter model is used to retrieve the contact impedance from the measure of the plate impedance, which then leads to an estimation of the area of contact between the skin and the oscillating plate. This estimation has been compared to the optical measure of the real area of contact, and this dataset is well correlated with an R-square of 0.88. To conclude, the real area of contact images help peer into spatial-temporal friction changes. This metric could assess frictional property before any slippage occurs, even without any tangential force. Also, this metric could describe more locally how the friction behaves. However, the optical method is too bulky to be used for portable haptic devices. We propose a new way to assess this metric using ultrasonic vibration attenuation encapsulated in the impedance measured. The ultrasonic model and its associated impedance measurement then paves the way for a friction modulation control using the area of contact rather than the friction force. This would allow to create tactile effects before sliding occurs, which is a step further to high-fidelity haptic rendering. Thank you for your attention. I will be pleased to discuss this result during scheduled office hours. Hope to see you soon!